serious? What secret could ruin your life? My whole professional life is built on a lie and it's about ready to come down. When I was 22 I was in a bad way, halfway through my bachelor's degree, but with a building addiction to opiates and some mental health issues. Summer of that year I was in a bad car accident. In addition to broken bones throughout my body, my head went through the window and my face received severe lacerations that required hundreds of stitches to close and left me looking very rough. As tough as that was to deal with, I also now know that I sustained a traumatic brain injury that left me very confused, angry, and overwhelmed by life in general. I wanted to keep up appearances. So after taking 3 months off to recover I tried to go back to school. Within the first week I knew I couldn't handle it. Too many questions about what happened. Too much anxiety. And I had lost pretty much all my coping skills. When I got overwhelmed, which happened often, I would feel sick and scared and literally forget where I was and what I was doing. It was frightening and embarrassing. Especially for someone like me who had always had high expectations placed on my shoulders by those around me. I had lost pretty much all my friends at this point, and in my mental state, I thought that those who remained would abandon me if they knew how much I was struggling. So, I told everyone that it was going great. Every day I would leave the house for 6 hours and drive. Sometimes I would stop in a parking lot. Sometimes I would just keep driving all day. I would find cheap used textbooks at college bookstores so that I could bring them home and study. I created elaborate lies about my classes and my professors in order to have stories to tell when people asked how it was going. I kept telling myself that I was just doing this until my brain worked again, and that next quarter I would go back for real when I could actually handle it. Problem is, things just kept getting worse, and as time went on I became less able to get back on track. This went on for 2.5 years, until I was supposed to be graduating. So, I lied about that too. I forged transcripts and came up with stories of why I didn't want to work in the field of my degree and hoped to move past it. I got a labor job and slowly found things working themselves out as my brain chemistry improved and steady work kept me from completely destroying myself. Eventually I had to move. For the first time in over a decade, I was finally free of my opiate addiction and starting to feel part of the world again. But I was still carrying the lie of my college degree. I volunteered in some places related to that field and they really liked me. They liked me so much, in fact, that they hired me on an emergency basis. No transcripts required, and I've worked there ever since. Now, 3 years into my sobriety and seemingly a lifetime removed from the pain of those years, they want to promote me to a career level job that I would absolutely love. I'm so good at what I do and it brings me so much joy. But this promotion would come with scrutiny and background checks that I know I can't stand up to. When I was so depressed, I honestly didn't think I'd even live this long. So while I knew that my lies could create this situation, I never prepared for it. Worse than losing this job would be having everyone around me find out what happened. So I am at a point now where I have to quit what I love because they like me too much. I plan to go back to school for real and I think I'll do well. But the shame and regret of this situation is something I don't think I'll ever shake. What secret could ruin my life? I secretly take off my hijab. On social media I wear the hijab, in front of all my parents, other family, most of my friends. I wear a hijab. Here's my story. When I graduated 2 years ago I decided to look for a job, and I wasn't able to land anything. I came up with the idea to start interviewing without wearing one, and once I get an offer I'd start wearing it again. I ended up getting 2 great job offers, which made me really sad that my theory of taking it off and easily finding a job was true. I took one and haven't worn it to work at all. I don't know what happened in the mix of things. I guess I started to like the attention men gave me and I actually felt like I belonged normal with my peers. It was a feeling I've never felt. Everyone started treating me different, as if I was worth speaking to. I don't get weird looks anymore. I don't get asked weird questions. I'm too afraid to tell my parents about it because of disappointment, and I'm even more afraid of the Muslim community finding out. Bullying and talking, it happens a lot to girls who take it off. I wear it to family functions, and when I'm at a place where I know I can run into someone I know. So yes, in essence I guess I am living a double life. Say what you want, I'm okay for now living like this. I keep changing my mind on what I permanent want to do. I get paid a 6-figure salary for a standard 40 hours a week corporate job for a massive well-known company. In a given week I do maybe an hour of actual work. The rest of the time I am on Reddit or YouTube slacking off. I thought when I got this job that eventually someone would figure out I don't do anything all day, but here I am 14 years later still doing duck all and getting paid a lot for it. Some guy convinced naive 15-year-old me to send nudes and then used it against me for 6 months. He found me on Facebook and threatened to send them to my friends list if I didn't do whatever he asked me to. He would make me get online whenever he asked and have me masturbate for him. He even tried to get me to meet up with him in person. I got really lucky when his profiles just disappeared one day and I took that opportunity to delete every social media account I had. I haven't gone back since and I never will. It really ducked me up for a while, but I don't really have anyone to blame but myself. It's been 6 years since and I still haven't told anyone I know this story. Edit. For those of you asking why I didn't go to the police. I'm a South Asian female with a very conservative family. I didn't see telling my family about what happened as an option at the time. And I still don't. I just wanted this whole situation to go away ASAP. Edit 2. I just wanted to thank everyone for the support. This secret has been something I've kept to myself for 6 years and it really means a lot that you all have been so kind to me. I didn't expect for my post to get this much attention, but I'll try to respond as much I can between classes. My cousin raped me several times. My grandmother passed away yesterday, and my father is making funeral arrangements and needs me there with him. I'm panicked because I need to be with my father, but that same cousin will be there. He will try again. I don't know what to do. I know it's easy to say don't be left alone with him, but who knows what he will pull to do it. He's insane. He's a bodybuilder. I'm a 5'1" female. This is causing a serious strain on my mental health. In less than 24 hours, I've pretty much shut down completely. I called out of work because I cannot handle being around people. Edit. I did not expect this kind of response. Thank you to everyone who has encouraged me to tell someone. And duck you to the one person that thinks it's super easy to do so. I'm 30. This started when I was 14. I spent summers with the family, and he always found a way to trap me. I would pretend that I was asleep, and I would tense up, but he'd do everything in his power, including, not limited to, using other objects to hurt me. My father and I weren't close for many years. We've only come back into each other's lives since my mom passed away, about 4 years ago. It's not exactly the easiest thing to come clean about, especially since it's his sister's son. This is upstate NY. This is gonna get buried, but I am depressed and suicidal. Last summer I tried to kill myself. I put a gun in my mouth. The only thing that stopped me was my cat happened to walk into the closet where I was. If anyone in real life saw this, they would treat me like I'm a landmine about to explode. Edit. After the overwhelming amount of support, I've decided to talk with my best friend about this. Thank you to everyone who commented and to everyone who messaged me. You have no idea how much it means to me to see a bunch of people care so much. Edit 2. Thank you for the gold. Your continued messages really mean so much to me. It's crazy to see the Reddit community come together to help someone they don't even know. I'm trying to get help now. I'm planning on seeking professional help in the near future, as well as continue talking to my friend. Thank you all so much. A while back, I was cheating on my wife with a coworker. It went on for months, and I never really cared for the woman I was cheating with. She was super hot, though. After a while my coworker started getting really crazy and threatening to tell my wife, whom I had a child with and a baby on the way, about everything. Obviously, I kept trying to cut things off because I realized I was making a mistake. She lost it one night and was freaking out and texting me telling me she was going to come to my house, and a drunk driver hit her. She died instantly. No one knows I was having an affair, and my family went to her funeral. Edit. Oh man. Sorry Reddit for answering the question honestly. Next time I'll remember to keep this to myself. Also thanks for the gold. Edit. Shout out to all the people who think I should have died instead, and are encouraging me to go ahead and tell the one secret that would ruin my life. I was debating posting until I saw Thebagestthro's post. Very similar, only it was me and my older brother. Not worried about a throwaway as this is my Duckit account anyways. Long story short, I was maybe 9 or 10. Him 14 I believe. He'd trick me into play wrestling, then end up on top. Then promise me my favorite snack if I take it just right. This only went on for 2 years. That's the gist of it. This may sound stupid, but I never thought much of it until recently. I'm 29. Since it was the only time he did anything remotely homosexual. At least to me. This is literally my first time sharing this with anyone ever. I'm not as shaken up about it as I probably should be, considering the certain porn addiction it led to and my virginity to this day. Edit. I knew Redditors were cool, but holy hell. Thank you all for the overwhelming support. I can't believe people who have never met me are so forward and helpful. I'm fighting hard not to cry in the small food court. I drunkenly sucked my straight friend's D. He asked me to never tell a soul. Got super drunk once and my gay friend stayed over. We went to bed and as we're chatting his hands started moving and I didn't stop him. He ended up sucking my D and I won't lie, it was good. Thing is, as hard as it is to believe, I'm very straight. Also our families are really close. I'm roughly 5 years into a relationship and still have no idea if I want to marry the girl. My oldest son committed suicide in 2015. He shot himself in the head. Every day I talk myself out of putting myself in dangerous situations where I could possibly be killed or hurt because I miss him so badly and want to be with him. Edit. Thank you so much for the words of support and encouragement both here and in private messages. I appreciate all the thoughts. I want to assure everyone concerned that I am indeed seeing a therapist regularly. I'm doing okay and I spend as much time with my younger son as possible. He's graduating high school next month and is our sunshine and joy, and through him my oldest boy lives on. I am humbled by the care and concern I've received from so many strangers. You guys are incredible. Throwaway time. When I was really young, 9-13, I went on Omegle and dual masturbated with another guy who could have been anywhere from in his late 40s to his early 60s. I am a guy and I am straight. After it was over I stupidly told him I was not 18. He said I know, and nonchalantly skipped me. I joined a job that is known for being absolutely miserable and a good chance of me getting killed. I love it. I was suicidal as a teenager and I gave up, knowing I couldn't kill myself. Now I have a good chance of dying without me having to do anything. And to add to the goods, my family would get a whole lot of life insurance money if I got killed, so I could do them a lot of good becoming a corpse. If word ever got out, I'd be in a lot of trouble and probably pulled. I don't want it. I need this edge or else I fall into a horrible depression. I need the challenge and risk. Edit. For those who guessed, yes, I am military. This won't ruin me because I've already went no contact with my mom, but it still hurts and is a big secret I've not told anyone. When I was a kid, I had asthma pretty bad, so I'd be up all night, coughing constantly. My mom and I lived with her parents. We shared a room, so I slept in her bed often when I was a toddler. Mom would come home from work and lay down for bed, but I'd keep her awake with my coughing. Sometimes at night I'd be coughing and she would hug me so tight that I couldn't breathe. It would really distress me that I couldn't breathe, but I knew mom loved me so much and I didn't want to tell her she was literally squeezing me to death because I was afraid of hurting her feelings. So I'd just tell her that I loved her so much, and she would cry pretty hard after that. Took me years after having my own kid and treating him gently to figure out that it's actually pretty difficult to squeeze a kid so hard that they couldn't breathe. Mom is bipolar and has had other incidents of hurting people and abandoning those in her care that need medication and can't take care of themselves. So I finally put it together and figured out. Mom would be so agitated with my asthma that she would try to stop me from coughing by squeezing me almost to death. And then she would cry out of guilt when I told her I loved her. I secretly had a relapse, more like a slip, several months ago after being clean from meth plus heroin for over a year. It lasted one day and I think helped me stay clean afterwards. But if my family and friends found out, it would undo years of hard-earned trust and progress with them. Mortani had moved out of my apartment to try and get clean once and for all. My drug had always been heroin. but meth and benzos were also a bit of a hobby of mine. So as my dad and I are packing up my place to move back in with him and my mom, things are just being thrown into random boxes, stuffed into bags. Anything we can do to get the task done and done quick. I should add that I had a ton of little hiding places for my drugs in my place. And as drug users do, sometimes I forgot where I put my stash. More than fast forward a few months, I'd been clean for about a year, the longest I'd ever been. Got my own place again. etc. When I'm rummaging through old boxes of things that I had hastily thrown together when moving, lo and behold I spotted a small cup that McDonald's had at one point given away in Happy Meals. I felt the cup like a rock in my lungs. I knew what I would find inside even before that sickly sweet smell wafted over me. Bad decision number 1. Instead of walking the whole thing straight to the dumpster, I looked, smelled, felt, and knew that day was the day. I'll spare you the details of what goes on next, but it involves smoking meth out of tin foil and a whole heaping ton of regret. More than in hindsight, this night was a good thing, as it really helped me along the way to being happily clean, not just frustratingly restrained. It has been almost exactly 1 year past the incident I described above, and I am feeling really good in general. I have the kind of happiness that makes you smile in the car, just driving down the road. And what's even better is that happiness kept getting better and reinforcing itself as it drove me to make good decisions. Life was, and still is, good. Edit. With the current drug epidemic in the USA and elsewhere, I think a lot of families are finding themselves in situations they never expected or prepared to be in. If that is you, please shoot me a message. There are many here on Reddit and all over that would love to provide help and answers. Sometimes it's incredibly powerful just to write down what's going on and get some outside perspective. Please stay safe. Final edit. I want to thank everyone for all the kind words of encouragement. Literally dozens of you messaged me to talk about things. Some of your stories are hard to read, but I'm trying to get to all of you, no matter how old this post is. If you are reading it and want to shoot me a message, you are more than welcome to do so. Finally, here is a list of resources I ripped from our Opatis recovery which may be useful to anyone reading this. Support groups, NA website, HA website, AA website, NA meeting locator, NAAA meeting locator, Naranan, support for family members, Families Anonymous, Smart Self-Empowering Recovery, Life Ring, Secular Recovery Peer Network, Buddhist Recovery Network, Helpful Online Resources, Clean Time Calculator, NA Online Meetings, Soothing Ambient Sounds, Relaxing White Noise Generator, Stay Busy, Create Something Cool, Stretching Breathing Yoga Tutorials, Rock and Recovery Online Radio, Related Subreddits, RL Anon, Support for Relatives and Friends of Alcoholics Addicts, REddit Orson Recovery, Atheist 12 Steppers, Secular Sobriety, Quantum, Petioles, Opiate Replacement Therapy Subreddits, Methadone, Suboxone. In a crisis situation you are never as alone as you feel. Talk to someone who cares and wants to help. 24/7 toll free, US, hotline, crisis chat also available online here. Most people are under the impression that I do very well when it comes to talking to women. But not only have I not had actual sex in months, but the last time I did have sex I was raped. I was out of town and I stumbling home from a bar. I was so drunk that I couldn't find my hotel, so I decided to hitchhike. A guy picked me up and took advantage of me. I was so drunk that I only remember bits and pieces. I can't remember his face either. It doesn't really affect me that much because I try to pretend it never happened. When I do think about it though, it does hurt a lot. I never thought it would happen to me. I was so wrong. The amount of support I am getting from all of you is unbelievable. This really made my month already. Thank you all so much. I am in serious debt because of a drug addiction I used to have, of which my family didn't know I had. I'm almost 2 years clean now, but I can hardly pay any bills I have, and I'm afraid to ask any family member for money because I know I can't pay them back in the near future. THNX for all the kind words, guys and gals. Sadly here in the Netherlands declaring bankruptcy isn't as easy. You have to have certain points going for and against you to actually declare it, as far as I know. As for the people talking about sending something to help, PLZ, if you want to help, send it to some sort of charity that helps addicted to get and stay clean. Because for me, even though I have it rough, the people still fighting this have it 10x rougher. About 18 months ago I was watching the movie Yes Man and decided I'd say yes to everything for 24 hours. I ended up taking an ecstasy pill in the city. Then this woman said let's go do drugs, and I ended up buying and trying meth. It was in a crack house that was legitimately 10 meters across the road from the police station in the city's worst suburb. I then went to the casino and blew $1,000. Let's just say that watching Yes Man is a good way of getting yourself out of a rut. I guess. The last good thread like this started 5 years ago today. So, I am 19. I am gay. My parents are very conservative Catholics and would disown me if they found out. Not only that, I have had oral and penetrative sex with several men. Most of my town are Orthodox Christians and would ruin my life if my secret ever got out. The issue is, my voice is changing. And now I sound like a gay person and cannot stop it. Hope this gets buried. Finding out that I have a mental disability and my whole life people have hidden it from me, treated me the same as if I was normal. Okay, so my family are super religious, especially my mother. She wants me to be religious too, but I've become a bit disillusioned with religion. I know this would kill her, simply for the fact that she is a refugee and her reliance on a higher power has gotten her through all of her struggles and strife without even a lick of PTSD. She's a single mother also, and I just admire her so much getting to where she has without any help. I just don't think I'd ever tell her that I haven't been praying 5 times a day or even thinking about God in any way. It would kill her. My stepbrother repeatedly molested and raped me from age 11 to 16. I got pregnant and it was definitely his because I was a virgin otherwise. When I told him, he took me into the woods for a walk to talk, he said, and then shoved me down a very steep, rocky hill that had tree trunks and roots poking out everywhere. He raced to the bottom before I could even consider trying to get up and bashed my stomach with a rock. Then, he left me literally dying at the bottom of a hill where no one would have walked down, bleeding from a slice across my scalp that required 187 staples to close. My stomach was split open and rib bones broke. And of course the baby didn't survive. There was blood everywhere and I was in and out of reality. I thought I was climbing to heaven when I was delusional but couldn't move when I became remotely conscious. It turns out that when I thought I was climbing to heaven, I was climbing my way up the hill. I made it to a neighbor and he rushed me to the ER. I stayed in ICU for 6 months. When I was able to talk, my brother was in the room constantly. So I lied. I said I was getting chased by a dog and lost my footing and fell. And that as I stumbled up I fell on rocks and trunks of the tree. So that's my story. This account will now probably be deleted. Edit, thanks for the gold. IDK what to do with it, but I will make good use of the shinies. When I was around 7-8, my mother used to see a guy who would beat her just about every chance he would get. It wasn't anything for her to come grab me and my sister in the middle of the night and we'd run away for a few days. Finally, one day, I had enough of it. It started like it always does and he started laying into her. When he did, I jumped on his back and started hitting him as hard as a 8-year-old could hit a grown man. He threw me off him and onto the kitchen table. I tried him again and this time he threw me into the refrigerator, held me by my throat, and I took my mother's beating for her. All I remembered was seeing his fist, and waking up and seeing it again. Something happened and when I started to come to, I was in the front seat of her car with my sister in the back and we was driving fast. I'm guessing running from him? Anyway, she lost control of the car and we flipped into the ditch. I dragged myself out. For some reason my shoulder and arm hurt so bad I couldn't hardly move it. But I managed to pull my sister out and then proceeded to collapse. I woke up in the hospital. Nobody was there. Nobody visited. I was alone. After about a month stay, I was moved to a place called Helping Hands where I was reunited with my sister. We stayed there for roughly 2 months until one day my mother showed up. She was in prison. She took us home after a few weeks of supervised visits. When I got home I immediately moved out to my dad's house 3 states away. I was forced to grow up fast. Never had a childhood. The days I wasn't watching this boxing match in the kitchen I had to basically care for me and my sister by doing to the cooking and making sure we got what little school we could. My mother made poor choices with relationships and drugs and alcohol, and as a result I lost the better part of 10 years of my life. When I moved in with my dad I remember him crying to my aunts because of me. I hoarded everything I found. Wouldn't wear shoes. Didn't take being scolded well. Slept in my closet. And never really slept until I passed out from lack of it. He stuck with me though and got me on a normal path. And for that I'm grateful. But I still have problems to this day. Health and mental. A 33-year-old man shouldn't have to sound out words when he reads. I've only told my wife about this and obviously my dad. I've worked hard and now have a good career with the capital city of my state. I have 2 daughters that I pray will never see half what I do, and that is my main drive in life. I haven't spoken to my mother in quite a while. Looking back I'm sure I could have gotten her into heaps of trouble. But it is what it is. Thanks for listening Reddit. Update as requested. It was asked how my sister turned out in all this. Unfortunately she didn't follow me. Even though I begged and pleased with her she continued to stay for another few years. She did however move to the state I'm in a few years back. But my mother's influence was too strong on her. She spent her later teenage years dropped out of school and doing drugs. Fortunately she's never had kids through this experience. She was recently released from prison for prescription fraud and intent to distribute. And the last I heard she overdosed on heroin and had to be given 2 shots of a Narcan to be saved. I tried to get her clean but she stole from me numerous times and got a bunch of credit cards in my name and maxed them out. It was a huge mess. I haven't seen her in almost a year. And while I wish her well and hope she cleans up, it can't be me to be the one to do it. The time I was around her, if she wasn't stealing from me she was trying to influence me on drugs. I just wanted to say something. Thank everyone who took the time out of their day to say a few kind words for me. I've been struggling the last few weeks and my feeling of self-worth hasn't been very high. No, I'm not suicidal but I was just letting life beat me down some. I really appreciate every person here. I was actually recommended Reddit from a friend as a form of self-help. I mostly lurk on the subs but enjoy hearing people's stories myself and how they work through them and the steps they took to get there. From a big part of my heart. Thank you so much fellow Redditors. Edit again. Holy crap I was got a piece of gold. Thank you whoever sent it. Everyone is so awesome.